Day 5. Welcome. I'm doing the intro this time. This is Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Hey, welcome to day 5.
Oh my god. You're such a fucking asshole.
Could you please give us your name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Could you please?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Could you please give us your name?
Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell.
Who's honking? That's what I'm always saying. Who's honking?
Well, I've actually been waiting outside the Pearl Street entrance to the courthouse this entire time. Well, I've been catcalling Bobby and Ghislaine and Isabel Maxwell. I've just been trying to sort of psych them out, and I've been doing Italian style street harassment on the defense team.
You're like, hey, you're walking there.
I'm like, oh, what, you got leg irons on? Well, you got a great ass too, ladies. Unfortunately, I've also I have woman blindness. And so I've just been doing it I'm to say that I can't tell the difference between a man or a woman, and everybody looks the same to me.
Okay.
And so I've just been doing it too. I've been arrested dozens
You're blind.
of times. Well, I can't see like buildings or like the sun or trees or anything. Yeah. Well, it's like, what happens when you open your eyes out? It's like dark.
You know who else is blind?
Justice.
Lady Justice.
Also
That's
got
right.
her titties out.
I'm Liz.
My name is Brace, and they call me Lord Justice, and we are, of course, joined by the executioner, young Chomsky. Welcome to day 5.
Yeah, this is TrueAnon. Hello. It's
Hello.
Friday. You know what's funny?
What?
We don't do daily, we don't do the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we literally don't do a Daily Show.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to be like, oh, hey, it's Friday.
Yeah,
and it is
fun.
Friday.
This is fun.
When
It is
people
Friday.
Listen to it.
It's freaking,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a freaking weekend, baby. Gonna have. Well, no, probably inappropriate to be singing that.
Yes. Also, it's not the weekend. It's Friday.
Friday night is weekend to me, but
It's early evening.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is true. The trial is over. Day 5. Ghislaine Maxwell has been convicted, taken to a secret court in Guantanamo Bay, and executed along with Bill Clinton and the entire Democratic Party leadership, plus also a Rothschild or two.
And weirdly, convicted by Donald Trump.
What? And he's back?
What?
And
he's wearing a white hat and he's muscles?
What?
He's muscle man?
Oh, yeah.
There's a cute person at the trial. I
Yes.
almost called it the show.
I think there's a few. I'm trying to find them, but I was alerted because one's been posting her notes, which are much neater written than mine.
What does that say to you? That a cute person has neater notes.
Because what's the difference in the brain part? She's right-brained?
No.
Oh.
You have the serial killer handwriting.
No, dude, what? There's a 2-year-old serial killer out there?
Yeah.
No, Liz, I do not have the handwriting of a serial. Young Chomsky, can you come in here? Is it possible to keep recording? Is this the handwriting of a serial killer or a child? Answer me.
It's a little bit Zodiac.
Yeah, it's like
Look
a
at
guy.
mine. Come here, look at mine.
This is bullshit. No.
This looks like
fake
ladies.
news.
No,
This is
look at the
fake
highlights.
news.
Look, I highlight.
I'm gonna post my.
With different colors
I'm
too,
gonna
for
post
like
my
what
handwriting
different
later.
things are.
And it's gonna really
Yeah,
embarrass
thank you.
her. Anyways, to resume our coverage before I get harangued anymore by the missus.
Okay, before we jump into what happened today, we gotta open it up with little Ghislaine watch. Now, she was back in an ivory sweater. The sleeves were pushed up. Perhaps she was a little warm. So I don't know if it was the same balloon sleeve look that we've seen before. However, I want to say that this is something I've noticed. She changes her mask to match her sweater.
Does she? What kind of mask was she wearing today?
A white mask.
Interesting.
The only time she's worn a white mask is with a white sweater, and the only time she's worn a black mask is with a black sweater. Now, what remains to be seen is if she will switch it up, maybe a little yin-yang look, but I don't know.
What I was wondering is, because
Or a
obviously,
cookie.
I think her lawyers bring her
Well,
clothes.
shout out to New York.
I mean, I assume her lawyers bring her clothes. I've asked a few people, like, how she gets dressed.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a room where, like, they change and stuff, which makes sense. But I wonder what the prison or the jail, like protocol around bringing your own mask back. Like, can she bring, like, whatever, I don't know, Bloomingdale, is that a nice store? Bloomingdale's mask back to, you were giving me a really nasty look right now.
No, it's a department store.
Okay, well, it's a fancy one, I assume, because it's still around. And she brings that. Can she bring that back to jail? Is what I'm wondering. Or are they like, you need to wear this one?
No, there's probably like a jail, like, you know, this is the mask that you get for jail.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because also
to me.
it can't have any little switchblades in it.
Well, what I would do is if I ever get sent to federal jail or any kind of jail, if you're my lawyer, please don't bring me a mask soaked in just a little bit of fentanyl to make me happy and, you know, during the trial.
Imagine she got, like, they bring her and she's wearing, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the most inappropriate outfit. Like, she's wearing some, like,
Cookies.
Daisy print, Lisa Says God, like, matching fucking fuzzy sweater with a mask. Like, some kind of matching mask. Like, how garish you can take the matching mask.
She's
look.
wearing, I found out what kith was the other night. She's wearing head-to-toe kith.
Oh, yeah, I saw you were too embarrassed to ask me.
Yeah,
and you know what? I appreciate that.
Well, Ghislaine Maxwell, not on the stand today, but sitting behind the desk next to her lawyers who really, they were all over the place.
Oh my God, this guy. Okay, so last night we talked about the prosecution's witness, Juan Alessi, the houseman in the Palm Beach residence. Now, this morning opened up with the cross-examination of him. And
Yes.
I mean, this went on forever.
Everything seemed to take a long time today.
This guy, this lawyer for Ghislaine, Pagliacci. That's not his name. Pagliucci?
It's like we've said it on the. We did a whole read through of this.
I know, but I'm gonna call him Pagliacci.
We called him
because
Pagliacci on the show. And
It's
so
not. It's like
Pagliucci. I wrote it down even, and I can't. I literally have too many notes for me to find it right now.
yeah. I'm just gonna call him Pagliacci because guess what? The man is a clown,
Yes, I mean, my God, he was.
and not the kind of clown that I was. This is a fool.
Yeah, I mean, my God. So out the gate. Well, so he started out. If my notes are in order, he started out as you remember last night. We left it with Alessi confessing that he had actually been back to Jeffrey Epstein's house. I gotta say, Ghislaine's lawyers love saying, "But that wasn't the first time, or that wasn't the last time you went to Mr. Epstein's house, was it?"
Yeah,
Like, they
because
say it
those
the
are
same
like,
way.
Yeah. That's the defense style.
So they kind of came out with a gotcha right out the gate, where there was a sort of long, like, series of rapid fire questions that clearly pointed to the fact that Alessi had previously told both the police and also has said during depositions, including a sworn deposition, I believe. Though don't exactly quote me on that.
It
last
was sworn,
one.
yes.
Yes, I guess they're all sworn.
Yeah.
But he had said that he'd actually gone to the house twice. Once to break in order to steal a gun,
Yeah.
which not illegal. And the second time, but he ended up stealing some money, couldn't find the gun. And the second time, he stole the rest of the money. Still amounted to the same amount of money he said that he stole yesterday
The first time.
during his testimony.
$6,300.
But the difference was this was two different incidents that he now claims are one incident.
yeah, so the defense started its like gotchas. Like, this is what it always does. It's like, okay, you said all this, and now we're going to break it down. Boom, 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 boom. Except Pagliacci, slow mover boomer, and was very foolish in his line of questioning. But he was, like you said, he was basing everything off of a sworn deposition that Alessi gave to Bradley Edwards, who was in the room with us a couple days ago.
Yeah. Put together man.
Very, very, you can spot the lawyers from the journalists. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, actually, all the Daily Mail journalists look like lawyers.
And the Sky News ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all in suits. Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Bradley Edwards, remember, is the lawyer for a bunch of the victims, including Virginia Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Now, this deposition was related to one of her suits.
Yeah. And, it's true. Alessi did contradict himself. I mean, that's
a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's a pretty big difference. Like, he went to the house at one point to steal a gun and then returned, I think, weeks later to steal money. And
But she denies.
He denies it was two incidents. Now he says he was sticking to his story that it was one incident.
Yeah. That's the thing. So basically, all of his testimony did contradict these sworn statements that he's given before.
Yeah.
The ones that the defense was basing their questions off of, the ones to Bradley Edwards. However, he did not waver, and he stuck with his original testimony and said, I don't know why it says that. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Sort of similar to some of the same kind of responses that we saw from Jane.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first day.
Hey, but Pagliacci, people are going to just think that's his actual name. But Pagliacci really sort of built off of that and was sort of like, he was portraying Alessi as, let's say, a little less than honest, which I think he did which was, obviously true in this case. But he built up this thing where it's like, well, you said you were having money problems, right? Mm-hmm. But in fact, you owned all these properties. And I did not know this before. Alessi,
a landlord.
Not only a landlord, landlord of many properties.
Yeah, a lot of properties.
So
Managing a lot of properties.
This led to the most, for me, excruciating part of the day. Yeah. And I think actually for everyone, even in the courtroom, excruciating, like the judge, because this led to Pagliacci giving the longest string of just numbers and dates that was so confusing that the judge had to be like, stop.
Yeah.
What are you asking right now?
Yeah, and it was so frustrating. Also, like, he seemed out of Pagliacci. He seemed out of sorts. He was like thumbing through the papers. He couldn't find like the lines, the specific lines. The Maureen Comey, the AUSA, like, was objecting to everything, and the judge was like right on her side, and rightly so. I mean, the man was a fucking mess. It was like, those cartoons of lawyers where it's like they're like the bumbling guy with the briefcase and like the papers are going everywhere. That was Mr. Pagliacci. At one point, he literally said the victim's name.
So, yes, that was...
Which, again, we won't say. But it was... The judge had literally just given a warning that was like, okay, if we're looking at this form, do you see... Like, remember, don't say the name, like, for anonymity, blah, 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 because clearly her name was on this form that he was reading from. And he was like, don't worry, I've got it blacked out, blah, 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 blah.
He said he blacked out every instant. He's like, he was so smug about it. He was like telling the judge, he's like... He seemed like miffed that she was even telling him that, because he's like, I blacked out every instance of her name, like, we're anonymity, like, we're totally keeping with that. And then the judge was like, well, okay, but that's for, the witness too, because, Alessi had been confused the previous day at usage of the name Jane instead of the victim's actual name.
Which, like, to be fair, I mean, look, you're dealing with, like, he's like 72-year-old guy. You got a bunch of fake names going around. There's already, as we know, the accuser has the same name as one of Epstein's employees.
Yeah.
It's all like... It's all very confusing.
And at this point, too, Alessi was getting a little... I mean, he was on the spot because he'd just been caught in fucking 4K lying about stealing a gun, which, by the way, Gun Watch still did not say what kind of gun it was. I am guessing a nice little Beretta. But, so... What does Pagliacci do?
Oh, he's like, 18 like pieces of paper go flying, and his mustache is like, woo, 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 woo. And then he's like, oh, so bursts out her name. Like, I almost just fucking said it.
Well, we can add it, but yeah, it was incredible, because to me, he was like getting ready, all this stuff ready, and then like he didn't actually do this, but he gave a spiritual sort of like throat clearing, and then like, raising his head to the lectern.
Yes, and then just said,
blurted. I would say the word is blurted.
Yeah, and then it was literally everyone in the room. The security guard behind me, I turned around, he gasped, and he was just shaking his head. He was like... Not the security guard, the marshal. He was like, my God, look at this guy. He's like, you got one job. You got one job.
A seismic wave of gas, because there was the initial gasp that hit the room, and then there were secondary after gasps that came, including from myself. I swore, I exhorted.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, it was...
Yeah, I saw the marshal outside, and I was like, yeah, he's got one job. Well, he's got a lot of jobs. He's a lawyer, defense lawyer. But this is kind of one of the big jobs.
So, of course, right there, bam, bam, bam. There was still, gavel watch. My gavel watchers out there, no gavel. But everybody gets called to the judge, right? Like, this was bad. Like, this is, you do not do this.
I think Miss Bobby might be spanking. I was gonna say something horrible.
You know what, Liz? Say it.
I was gonna say spanking the clown.
Okay, wow. What? That's not like the. What are you?
That sounds like
what phrase are you even
Pagliacci.
based? Spanking the chicken? I think that's
sounds
masturbating.
horrible.
Don't. You're fired.
No, I'm not.
But
you can't fire me.
well,
You're not my
can
fucking boss.
Tell the marshals that you have a
I'm your
gun
boss.
next Monday. So no, that was it was. I mean, you cannot do that. Like, to be clear, it was. I mean, we're kind of laughing about it now just because it was so crazy. But this was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Which is wow, what a great description. This was like, whoa. But it was like I don't even know how to describe it. And yeah, it was. I mean, it was. You cannot. So the thing about Jane is she has been so anonymous this entire time. She has barely given. She's given one interview to the press, which I cannot find anywhere. That thing is scrubbed off the internet. Although, frankly, I didn't look for very long because I don't know. I felt disrespectful. But there's like not much out about her. She has been very clear about her anonymity. And so I don't know what you're thinking, Liz, but originally I thought this was a mistake. I still think it was a mistake because I don't really see.
Yeah, of course it was a mistake.
Yeah, but
No, it was a mistake. No
Yeah.
one's trying to out her. Come on.
yes,
Not
but
like
like
that.
10% of me is because she said her last name before in court. She read it off a letter that Laura Menninger gave her. She just said her last name, and which I guess it wasn't. I know it. Of course, yeah, it was. It wasn't redacted, but it wasn't entered. It was entered under seal.
Yeah, it was another
so like
mistake.
people. Yeah, exactly. And so she made a mistake and read that. But then this guy just like the lawyer for the defense saying her first name like that.
Yeah, he's
a big
a clown.
Yeah, it was pathetic, and he got admonished by the court for it. The judge was not happy with them. Frankly, I don't think the defense has been buttering up the judge as much as they need to.
Well, I thought the other guy was much better today. But back to Mr. Alessi, I do want to say that some funny information we did find out about him too is that Epstein gave him $40,000, $20,000 for his first home purchase.
And home purchase, we might add that he rented out.
Yeah. This was not. This was a second income home.
Yeah. It's the,
I didn't know that.
This sort of built up, talking about his homes, really built up, until, Pagliacci was like, well, if you had $1 million in rental properties, which I could not figure that out because the numbers he said before that just did not add up, then how come you had to steal this money from Epstein? And I was like, ooh, he's got his ass. And then Alessi hit him with, I was getting a divorce. And all my money was tied up.
Okay, little update.
Okay. I
want to hear you say it.
Liz was not as wrong as usual.
That's not. Sorry, don't do that. Say it in the right way.
Liz was more right.
Oh my God.
Than
Come on.
me.
I was right again, as usual,
This
which
wouldn't
was
hold up in court.
that Juan Alessi was out and needed the money because he was paying for his, what he says, not girlfriends, aka girlfriends, but not romantic, immigration papers. The man was pay pig. He was spending all his money, giving all his money to some girl, trying to get her over here.
I mean, to be clear here, this guy, in the midst of his divorce,
I said that.
which he
What
you
happened?
did,
And you were
no,
like,
no, yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I said I don't know. I actually, when we were walking back yesterday, I said I don't know enough. I don't think so, but. I'm just saying. Okay. So I did say I don't think so, but there was some context to it.
We're all becoming lawyers here.
However, objection. He linked that when he originally told us about this non-romantic girlfriend yesterday. He linked that to his divorce. So it's sort of the way he described it. I mean, not in great detail, but it seemed like it might have been a reason that he was getting a divorce. And it just goes to show, this guy was driven to such lengths of madness by this, as he says over and over, non-romantic girlfriend, meaning he was not getting any sex from her, to such depths that he was breaking into Jeffrey Epstein's home to steal money or a gun. Maybe he was who knows what he was going to do with that.
But yeah, like we said, Juan really stuck to his testimony, even though it basically did contradict a lot of the things that he had said in his deposition with Bradley Edwards. There was an interesting point where it just seemed like Pagliacci got really frustrated. We got to say, too, Juan's demeanor during this whole thing, very aggressive.
He was getting pissed.
Yeah,
he was
frustrated.
Was clearly pissed.
Also, because I do think that the defense has such a narrow when they're doing cross-examination.
Yeah,
they do have a very narrow scope in the way that they can phrase questions.
Yes,
because it has to be based off of what a testimony that you've given, right?
Yeah.
And so, and like you said, they always phrase things in an annoying way because they want to elicit just a yes or no response. Like they want to keep your response as narrow as possible, so you're not like going off about whatever. Now, let's just say, Mr. Alessi,
he's a talker,
a colorful fellow.
Yeah,
yeah, he's got very, a way with words. We'll say.
Yeah.
Likes to talk. He's a talker.
Absolutely, and that was not going over well.
No, and so he was very frustrated by the tone of the conversation and the direction it was going because he could see that he was, getting a little boxed in. I think a little bit, but also. I think just generally was just like annoyed by the whole thing and feeling, attacked.
Well, I it's in some of it, I can understand, right? Because some of these, the way they phrased questions, which, I mean, frankly, Alessi, you should be a little used to this by now, considering how many times you've talked to lawyers and the police, etc. But, like they gave him at one point a statement that I think the police had written or a lawyer had written. I can't remember exactly, but it was a statement in front of him. The point isn't what wasn't actually in the statement, but it was a statement that he had not physically written out, but it was words that he had said. And his signature that he did write out at the bottom.
Yeah.
And Pagliacci asked, "Is that your signature?" And he says, "Well, I didn't write this statement. Like, it's not my handwriting." But talking about the statement. And so that leads to, that leads to like several clarifications and having to ask the question again and objections. And so that scene repeated itself multiple times today with Alessi.
Yeah, there was one, just a couple last funny notes. There was one moment where you could tell where they were trying to go in the line of questioning because they kept asking him, really hammering him on some of the specifics on like who was actually ordering the massages, who were you driving, why were you driving going to go to Mar-a-Lago, et cetera, et cetera. All these like kind of back and forth things that were really boring and annoying. But at one point, Pagliacci was just like, so you are not a sex trafficker because you drove Ghislaine to pick up masseuses for Jeffrey Epstein, correct? And immediately they were like, objection!
Yeah.
But it was like a pretty funny, like...
I know, and the objection, I mean, I think that was sustained. Yeah, I gotta say...
Objection. Sustained.
I've been wanting to say this all day. Today, Maureen Comey's objections had more sustain than a nice hollow body Gibson guitar. Young child, that got a giggle from old YC. I could hear it from here.
Pagliacci called him Epstein.
I heard that too, which means Jeremy Corbyn, who was pilloried in the British press for, I will say, weirdly pronouncing his name Epstein, vindicated.
Yeah, or Pagliacci, anti-Semitic.
Yes. Speaking of, there's a couple quick things. Speaking of anti-Semitic, but yes, there's a couple quick things that I want to mention. One is I talked to a very knowledgeable fellow whose name I will not say, but you know what I'm talking about, the smart man, the money man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Talk to
my guy, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Talk to a guy who is an Epstein expert, right? This guy is one of the top guys. I asked him, I was like, what do you think about Ghislaine being Protestant? He's like, well, she's not Jewish. And not because of the patrilineal thing. He's like, she said at one point, he's like, I got to find it. She said that she doesn't identify as Jewish, which, believe me, that is the number one thing I'm looking for right now.
Okay.
Second thing is that, because she is a Protestant pedophile. Second thing, Alessi mentioned that manual yesterday. Remember?
Yes.
And when
the household manual.
You and I were trolloping arm in arm. Trolloping? No, we were not.
There was no trolloping.
We were skateboarding after the trial yesterday, doing kickflips.
Yeah.
We were talking about how that a manual such as the one that we saw and of the size that it was, because this was a 58-page, for those who didn't listen to yesterday's episode, which you should, Alessi was incensed about a 58-page manual. Well, he had been given a 30-page
still to this
version.
day incensed.
Really pissed about it still.
At one point he said today, I was working slave hours.
Exactly, yes. No, he was pissed.
Yeah.
But he was really angry at this manual. And Liz and I were discussing this manual. It's like, this manual is not the kind of thing you'd give someone like who's working at this house, right? Like, this is a manual for like a manor or a castle or something, or a hotel, but something more substantial than Epstein's like El Brillo home, right?
Perhaps something royal.
Well, today, and many ears perked up in the courtroom about this, or during this, today it was mentioned by Alessi that the person who had written the manual was...
Actually, it was mentioned by the lawyers.
Oh, excuse me, yes. The person who had
clarify that it wasn't Ghislaine herself.
Yes, yeah, correct. I unfortunately just wrote several variations of what I thought he said as the actual word before I settled on the one that I knew it was but couldn't believe. So he says the countess wrote this manual, not Ghislaine.
Yes.
And at first,
countess, not a countess.
Yes, countess.
Yes.
And so at first I thought,
not a lady accountant.
Yeah, exactly. At first I thought, well, he must have said accountant, right? Not that Epstein has not been linked to and Ghislaine have not been linked to many royals, including, as we'll get into, a countess.
Well, countess isn't really a royal.
Well, a someone who, correct,
well,
yeah.
It's a court.
An aristocrat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Member of the
I'll
court,
be more
perhaps.
precise. But she indeed, the word
B-tier.
countess was reported several times, not B tier, A tier. We're about to tier some aristocrats down right here too. But yes, it was countess that wrote the manual, and the most prominent countess that is associated with Ghislaine,
Luann de
Jeffrey
Lesseps.
Epstein. Okay, don't know who that is.
Oh, that's for my ladies out there.
Well,
It's not Luann.
this is all. They're all
Also
for
not
the
a countess anymore.
Her name is Countess Claire Hazel, who we've talked about on the show before.
There can't be a countess named Claire Hazel.
Well, she married into it.
That's a fucking girl boss ass sounding name, like actual like wing member sounding name. Hi, I'm Claire Hazel. I'm the director of events at the Wing.
Liz,
I saw you on Hinge.
I actually-
Claire Hazel's a Hinge ass fucking girl name.
She is on Hinge. I hear some too knowing of a giggle coming from the other room too. But yes, she is, well, now divorced as of earlier this year, but she is, I believe, married into the Guinness family. And
she managed the social media accounts of the family because that's what she fucking sounds like.
well, yes, but she wrote on the plane a ton. There are some pictures of her and Epstein, and I believe Ghislaine is actually in the picture too together, but close friends with Ghislaine, associated with the, let's say, the little Mossad menagerie around Epstein, starting around the time that this manual was given out. And so it's got to be her.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Countess de Lesseps, so.
Okay, I could think that's a real person, so
It's
don't
fine,
try to
it's not
trick
for
me.
you.
And I want to be clear here, because Liz and I had some disagreement on this, and we can run through this very quickly, no explanations needed, but tiers of hot royals.
It's not royal.
Well, excuse me, aristocrats. Marquesa, number one, although that is a form of countess. Countess, 1B. Duchess for the voluptuousness
No.
there. The gourmand only dallies with
Well, he only can.
duchesses. Well, yeah, correct. C is the princess, which I begrudgingly put there because, or you know what? C is actually baroness. No, baroness is, no, okay. Let me take that again.
I didn't think of Baroness.
We did
No,
not
I have
think of
to
that
think
earlier.
that. Okay.
C is princess. D is baroness. And E is, E is the queen.
Okay, so that's wrong.
Okay.
And this is how it.
You
This
don't
is
even
what
know
it
how,
actually
if girls
is.
are hot. You're a girl.
That's how I know because it takes a girl to know a girl.
Yeah, girls think like Tilda Swinton is hot.
No girl thinks Tilda Swinton is hot.
Then why is she
what
famous?
are you talking about?
Why is she famous then?
Because she's an actress.
Oh, I'm thinking Twiggy. Who am I thinking of that? Wait, who looks like an alien?
Well, both.
Oh, then we'll talk about this after the show.
Okay. That's just teen names. Anyway. Okay. So first is Countess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not including Marquesa. One, because I just think of like disgusting like wedding gowns when I think of that, and also it's like that's not, it's like one country specific, so it's too tiny a pool. Okay, so it's Countess, then it's Princess, then it's Queen, Then
insane that you have queen up there.
no, I'm going to tell you why. Then Baroness,
Mm-hmm.
then Duchess. Now, this is why. The Countess, worldly, hard to reach, kind of, a little like, doesn't really want to pay attention to you. She's over here, she's over there. She's always at parties. It's the Countess. Lots of mystery. Okay, classic, very sexy, but like womanly. Not like whatever. Princess, classic, innocent. Everyone you married the princess.
Not me.
Classic. The queen. Oh my god, you're fucking the queen.
You're
the fucking king.
She's 60.
No, not always. And also, if you're not the king, you are cucking the king. That's huge.
Yeah, but she's not. All right.
Then
I'm rating this on hotness.
Baroness.
Yeah.
That's your MILF.
Duchess
No. The Baroness is like she's like got some umami.
She's got umami?
Yeah. She's like kind of funky, but like you're down with it. That's the Baroness. And then the Duchess is like
insane.
Not. That's like
Duchess is the
Duchess
thickest.
is like you had like maybe too much whiskey. Everyone else is gone.
It doesn't work if you have too
The
much
only
whiskey.
thing left at the table is the Duchess.
It doesn't work if you have too much whiskey. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can't do it. You can't do it.
You know what? The Duchess doesn't care because you know what happens to
They
all
always
guys?
care. They always care. And it never happens.
The Duchess doesn't mind. The Duchess will take it.
Anyways, it's fucking bullshit. Duchess is B. Anyways,
I love all women. Just to be clear.
I also this
it takes all kinds.
This
It
is
takes
our
all
most
kinds.
R-worded episode yet. I want to
was
as long as we're because I gotta be honest with you.
It's Friday. I just want to say, we've been sitting in a courtroom every day for 8 hours.
Yeah, this is the problem. We haven't spoken much.
I know.
To
So now it
each
all
other
comes
or
out.
anyone.
Yeah. Because we got shushed today.
That wasn't us getting shushed. The marshals were getting shushed. They were talking really loudly.
No. Here's the thing: the marshals were talking, but then they had been talking for a while, and yes, it was annoying.
It was super loud, too.
and it was like that loud mumbling.
Yeah.
But then you leaned over and it would like added to it, and then they shushed. So we got shushed by proxy.
I got 2 words out of my mouth in a
We got
whisper.
shushed by proxy. I know, but we got blamed for the
Harshly
marshals.
shushed too. I don't. But now everyone's gonna think I'm talking
we got
all the
shushed.
time. Anyways, as long as we're slightly off topic, I also made good friends with the bathroom custodian. In fact, I believe the general custodian.
Yeah,
and
you were gone for
first
a
of all,
long
he
time.
called me brother. Second of all, he told me that he found. I asked him what kind of stuff he's found in the bathroom. He told me he found a condom sometimes, and then also soiled, discarded panties too. In men's bathroom. So,
On the first floor or
in
any
the
floor.
Southern District of New York.
Federal court, people are doing it.
Anyways, so after Alessi gets off the stand, comes the first of several LEOs, which is what us in the community call law enforcement officials. This man, Officer Parkinson from Palm Beach Police Department, he was
very
actually
gentle.
He seemed just like a simple not a country cop. He didn't talk like that at all, but he was he was like a good version of Visosky. That sort of like Southern air and like very precise, but sort of confused and affable.
But yeah, he's the guy he was on the team that searched Epstein's home back in October of 2005 in Palm Beach. And so they were kind of using him to basically give testimony on a chain of evidence. There was a whole thing about how all the evidence that was collected, including photographs and videos of the property, was then transferred to the FBI, aka into the state's attorney's possession. And so they had to say, at one point he said, we formed a human chain.
Yes.
To then pass the evidence down, which I found very adorable.
Yeah. He described it in great detail.
They should make it be like a human chain, but with like 15 people.
I mean, who knows how many cops there are?
You know?
But yeah, so for those of you who are, looked into the Epstein case a bunch, you've probably seen this video, but there is a rather grainy video.
Yeah.
But there's two versions of a rather grainy video. Actually, the man who first FOIA'd that was in the room talking about it earlier.
Oh
today.
yeah, he's real chatty with you.
No,
it was the other guy.
It was the other guy. Yeah, Marlon got
yeah.
this from him.
Oh yeah, white-haired guy.
The white-haired fella. Yeah, Silver Fox. But he was the one who first FOIA'd it. And it got wiped actually from the internet. I guess because of some stuff that we'll get into. But
it had the frazzle drip.
But it is because it shows that it contains the frazzle drip portion. But there's of course I can imagine. But there's video basically of the cops doing a walkthrough of Epstein's home. That's where, for instance, that still of the picture of Epstein and Fidel Castro comes from. He went there with, I believe, the former president of Colombia, although who knows what the story with that was. And then also one of the pictures of Epstein and the Pope, which would correspond to Ghislaine's father's her maternal grandfather's Catholicism.
Yeah, I felt like that, they're doing a little fan service there. They're just really relating it to Alessi's testimony because he testified that he saw both of those photographs, so they mentioned it, but it did feel a little like fan service.
Exactly. But the other thing, too, is that someone actually posted a still from that video of Epstein's desk that I saw the other day, and that Hawker plane that we described with the planes on it.
That's where the photo is.
There is a
a model.
A model of it with the JE on it.
Yeah. I'm still laughing at the idea of because basically we couldn't see any of these videos.
Yes.
They were all under seal, which is really annoying. And so we were literally just watching other people watch a video silently for 20 minutes.
It was much longer than
but
20
I'm
minutes, Liz.
Really, yeah, it was like almost an hour. But I'm laughing at the idea of they're actually watching what it's under seal because they're watching Huma Abedin eat a baby.
Yes. No, this was I believe sort of the longest stretch of the day. Because it was much of it. I mean, obviously most of this is under seal because a lot of it identifies the victim and also shows underage girls in states of undress. Also,
or just no, I don't even know if it's not always underage, but just they call it third parties. And so I imagine that Epstein, creepy has just photos of him with different models and different whatever that are just not party to this case. And so they don't want to show it.
Well, there's also, of
annoying,
course, for those who've watched the Epstein walkthrough, a picture of Ghislaine with her own twin torpedoes fresh out the tube. Yes, I am saying a picture of Ghislaine's titties.
Yes.
Now, I will have to consult, and I will consult immediately after recording this, a lawyer on this. I am not sure because they showed him many pictures, which he identified having seen, which again, were all under seal. So he didn't describe them. We don't know what they were. Some of them
stuff.
And so, one of those possibly a picture of Ghislaine with her bare breasts.
Yeah.
Not sure. I feel like they could have said that, but, did not. And so that picture was in there. But yes, a lot of the afternoon was us watching a guy watch a video silently.
Now that you mentioned Ghislaine, there's something that I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to mention it. Lots of mentioning. Juan Alessi was asked about this, which is that apparently, and I feel like people will be interested in this, Epstein asked Alessi to remove pictures of Ghislaine from his home, desk and everywhere else, when he was bringing other girls to the house that weren't Ghislaine.
Yes, adult women, we should be clear.
Yeah.
Well,
who
we
knows?
don't know, but other women.
Others.
Yeah.
Which is just such a so...
Interesting. It was so I mentioned yesterday, I don't know if I mentioned
it's
this on the
complicated,
show.
baby.
We were
It's
talking about this.
complicated.
One of the instructions that Alessi was given in the Countess's manual was that when Epstein and Ghislaine were returning to the house was to place photos back into Ghislaine's bathroom, which, as we mentioned, is one of the two bathrooms, Jeffrey Epstein's and Ghislaine's, that are attached to the master bedroom where both slept from the allegedly slept.
By
Exactly, which Alessi says they both slept the entire time. And so could that be, so riddle me this, could that be Epstein would bring, and again, like, I think, for me, it sounded like he was bringing like other adult women over.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, you're coming in for the weekend. No, Ghislaine, I'm so busy. Don't come down.
Exactly.
You're
like, oh no, I have a stomach ache. Oh, pastrami.
Oh, I got COVID.
Too much pastrami. But he would, I believe he would then, I guess, have her photos removed from the bathroom.
Yes.
So after
So
sex,
like, oh, no one lives here. What? No, this bathroom's for you.
exactly. And that I don't know. That seems quite likely for me. But again, that's in the manual which Ghislaine gave him.
I know. It's
so
all very
she would,
complicated.
the darkness there.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we would get some clarity on this moving forward. I think it's going to get weirder.
So much of the rest of the afternoon was taken up with us watching someone watch things.
Silently.
Yeah. It was, you could feel the vibe in the room was a dark one.
Yes.
Not necessarily because of what
A lot
he
of
was
people
watching.
getting up, walking around,
Restlessness took over,
Yes.
as you might be able to tell.
leaving. Some people left.
Also Friday, yes.
It's a Friday.
But two things came out. Physical objects. In fact, our first
yes.
physical objects revealed.
I know. It felt funny that they brought physical objects. I was like, oh yeah, we still do that. I thought maybe COVID, they got rid of it.
A little pretext.
Which makes no sense.
For the first one is that, so prior to every day, like the jury being brought in and court being, gavelled not into session, the lawyers have a little chat with the judge to talk about maybe some issues that might come up.
Sure. Yeah, this morning there was extensive ones.
And one of the ones this morning was an issue surrounding whether it was possible to identify or to have a witness identify having seen semen on a massage table.
Yes.
And that was vetoed because it wasn't tested for being semen.
Yeah.
Which legally, I guess that does make sense. But, I feel like you can get around that if you ask some smart questions. Did you see anything on the table that looked maybe weird to you or like semen? No? Okay. All right.
Maybe go back. You got to go back to night school.
Overrule. I go back to night court, baby. But it was, so we did see a massage table.
Yes, they brought out the massage table. Now, get this. It was green.
Very green.
Which was an interesting choice.
You described it to the marshal as we were leaving as a Green Bay Packers massage table.
Well, because one, I speak Marshall. I understood he would get the reference.
She's a flirt.
And two, because the underside was yellow.
Oh,
Who buys a green massage table with a yellow underside? First of all, a Green Bay Packers fan.
Well, he brought a bunch of these. So Epstein, as astute listeners and researchers may know, had more massage tables than I have toes. So Liz looked at my feet. I have 10 toes, Liz. Nothing weird. And I'm wearing shoes. But Epstein had quite a lot of massage tables. They were like, it said there were one in every room. I don't know if I believe that, but there were certainly
got a lot of
scattered
toes.
throughout the property. Yeah, I have the normal amount of toes. Believe me. And one of these, the one from his bathroom, was taken by police. In fact, taken by Officer Parkinson.
Yes, and then
evidence.
passed down the human chain.
Exactly. And so it was taken out today and placed on the floor, and Parkinson went over and identified it.
Yeah, and then they had these marshals like setting it up, and it was kind of very funny. And then like literally 2 seconds later, okay, can you take it down now?
Exactly.
And that was it. That was the massage table.
Yeah. One other piece of evidence emerged, and we have some shame to share with you.
If you're still with us,
First
thanks
of all,
for listening.
You should be able to get SSI or something. Government assistance should be available to you.
I want to apologize.
Yeah.
If you can't hear, I got a little cold.
Yes, I don't think I've slept more than a few. I haven't slept much.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that. I sold Vicky Ward Adderall today in Foley Park. We left about 15 minutes early.
Yeah, because Parkinson was still testifying, and it was like the most annoying cross-examination. Basically, the defense, rightly, were saying, okay, you took this video, and we know that you took this video on October 5th, whenever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was maybe it was the 15th. I have it written down.
It was the 20th.
Thank you. October 20th, 2005. And so we know that this is exactly what the house looked like October 20th, 2005, but we don't know. You can't say for sure that this is what the house looked like at any other previous date in 1995, 1996, 1997. It took the man a minute to understand.
It took me a minute to understand what the fuck he was asking.
Well, that's gentle. But,
yeah.
I mean...
What? What does gentle mean in that context?
Oh, it's gentle.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway... he's making the point that we've got a snapshot of this thing, but we have no idea what it looked like before that, let alone 10 years before that. Okay. And we were just like, it was taking a real long time.
Here's the deal. Here's a little courtroom reporter, which we're not. Here's a little, well, wait, no, unless you're the Southern District of New York press
Look,
office.
other people were leaving.
Yes.
Sky News left.
Everyone was leaving because it was like once they bust out the floor plans, which has happened many times.
So many architectural
and
drawings.
somebody with a Southern accent who says like affirmative
is
about
this the lake room?
You're in for the most detailed walkthrough of your life.
Yeah.
And that is precisely what we were expecting.
If you look to the southwest, you can see that this is from the lake house, and the room is facing. It was like it's so boring, you guys.
So we were recording in a different location today at in fact, actually, funnily enough, at East 66th Street, where Young Chomsky lives, and so. We were like, all right, well, we want to be able to get there quick. We have a long walk; it takes about 40 minutes. So we're like, we're gonna just leave now. And then
we're sitting on the subway.
Comes out.
And we're looking at the updates. And I was like, oh, no.
The twin torpedoes were brought out as evidence.
Yes.
And I know
we weren't there.
The episode we did right before. I know, honk away, brother. I hear you. The episode, honk too. The episode we did right before this trial started was called Twin Torpedoes. We mentioned the Twin Torpedoes. I talked about the Twin Torpedoes. I looked up to try to figure out what the Twin Torpedoes were for so way too long.
You thought you found the Twin Torpedoes.
I thought I found the Twin Torpedoes.
You know what? It looks like you didn't find the Twin Torpedoes.
And nor have I still. Because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, unlike almost everybody else who's covering this case, we have stupidly just sat in the courtroom for almost the entire case. Like we don't, and so we did leave just a smidgen early to catch the train. And this was the final thing of the day. A good friend of the pod who was there today in attendance and was there yesterday too.
Yes.
Marlon Ettinger.
Who's been on the show.
Yeah. He's got a little, he's the America's top Brunel investigator. But he was kind enough to text me a detailed description of the Twin Torpedoes, which I will read to you now. So these were sex toys that were taken as evidence, much like the massage table. So, black cylinders. They taper off on both sides, joined in the center with a very faint joint in the center. They were in a styrofoam box, the two boxes, and they were locked, unopened, or used, which I believe he said maybe not used, in a box in a closet. And so that is apparently the what people are saying is they didn't look used.
Okay, wait. So you gotta
What?
What does you mean they taper off?
I mean, I literally know exactly what that. Do you want me to describe that to you? So
is it like a Requiem for a Dream situation?
Do you know what like a vibrator looks like?
But it's double, right?
Well, yes, yeah.
Because the torpedoes.
Yeah. But I believe taper off in that sort of way where it gets...
taper.
Taper. At like the top. You see what I'm saying there?
I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. So classic style.
Classic style, of course. Okay. And so we did miss the Twin Torpedoes. Well, I do want to mention one other thing to buoy anybody else here. When they were talking about the latex bodysuit mentioned yesterday in Ghislaine's little wicker basket, her defense was saying it was cosplay.
Yeah.
It was literally the word they used was cosplay.
You know what, though? That rocks.
That rocks. Yeah.
Because, it's like, oh, no, it's not a pedophile thing. It's an anime thing. And we get a legal judgment that says no, that's the same thing. That
exactly.
rocks.
Yeah. Finally the courts can rule on that. I want to. Can you talk for a second so we don't have dead air? Because I got to look something up. Actually,
Oh, I hate when you do this.
Yeah. Well. Okay. All right. I was wrong. I was seeing if it was possibly had to do with Ghislaine's Halloween costume. If you can look this up, there are pictures of Ghislaine dressed. Interestingly, wearing a wig with both Prince Andrew and Donald Trump. She looks
She does not look good.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Neither does Andrew. Andrew looks fucked up on ketamine. But you can just Google,
Just Google Ghislaine and have some fun.
Exactly. But
Just
Google
throw
Ghislaine Maxwell costume Prince Andrew party.
You'll find it.
No, it was not. She was not wearing in that. Even though she was, I believe, going to not a Pimps and Hoes party, but I believe kind of like a version of
Tots and Vickas?
No, she had told people that she and Andrew were going to like a hookers party later, like to be, it's like I guess like a more, I don't know, old gross person style of that young gross like Pimps and Hoes parties they'll have at colleges. I was never invited to one of those.
Listen, it's Friday.
Yeah, and frankly, we're done.
Yeah, we will. However, be there bright and early on Monday. So I'm Liz.
My name is Brace. We are, of course, joined by producer Young Chomsky.
You've been listening to TrueAnon, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.